Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chapter Tactics, where we talk about tactics and strategies for both new and veteran players alike. I am your host, Magikarp Usefly, also known as Matt, and with me today we have a returning co-host that has been gone for a while, but he's back today, Demeki.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Welcome to Tactics Chapter.
Is that your dyslexia just like coming out for a second?
Oh yeah.
Special guest joining us today as well. We have the one, the only, Alex Macdougall.
Wow, what an intro.
Alex, how about you tell everybody who you are and why they should listen to what you have to say?
Oh, I'll tell you who I am. Listening to me is up to you guys.
Yeah.
My name's Alex. I've been playing Warhammer for about 20 years now. I've always been on the Bugs bandwagon ever since I started. And I hopped around a little bit, but I haven't always been a competitive player, but I've always played to kind of become better at the game. And then kind of as the show ramped up in 8th edition and everyone started getting into the game, is when I really decided to go, like, let's see what we can do at the big tournaments.
Oh yeah, and like when it comes to competitive 40K, we actually have an article on the Frontline Gaming website interviewing Alex, and you were saying that you weren't even expecting to be in the position that you are at, where like you have like this kind of almost like this sense of authority, right? With 40K, because you're such a top table player, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was one of those things where the idea of having like pro coaches and pro players is just still seems kind of foreign. When you've been doing something for 20 years and then people are like, "Hey, I'll pay you to teach me." I'm like, "Oh, this is weird."
That's a teacher, right? That's what teachers do.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But they're learning life skills, like how to do your taxes.
Dude, if I was taught how to do taxes when I was in high school, I would be in a way different spot in my life than I am in now.
I'm gonna let you know a secret. No, you wouldn't, because
yeah,
we'd all get that taught. We all get taught that, and then we'd like tune it out anyway.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's true. Demeki, you haven't been on for a while. Do you want to tell people what's been going on in your life?
Oh yeah. So my second daughter has been born, and I've been getting little to no sleep. Just like today, I woke up at 7 a.m. or I went to bed at 7 a.m. and I woke up at 1 p.m. Because I'm trying to take over night shifts so that my wife can get more rest at night, and then I suffer. That's pretty much how it goes, But yeah, that's pretty much been it. I had to entertain my mom when she came out, and just been super busy with the baby.
Gotcha.
Still been painting though.
Yeah. Congratulations on that one. The Tau Codex dropped as well, along with your baby. It's like two babies being born at once.
Oh yeah, my baby and then my baby.
Yeah. So in today's episode, we're not talking about the new Tau Codex. We are talking about Tyranids, kind of just going over what they, how they're performing nowadays with the new chapter proof that just came out and everything like that. How they're going to be facing up against things like the Tau and like the Custodes, and just kind of just picking the brains of Alex Macdougall here. But before we get into any further into this podcast, this episode is brought to you by frontlinegaming.org, where you can get amazing game mats for not just your 40K games, but almost any tabletop game out there. Purchase miniatures at a discount and join some of the largest 40K events in the industry. They also have some of the largest 40K podcasting networks in the business, with shows like Signals from the Frontline, Chapter Tactics, which you're listening to right now, the Thursday Show with Adam Camilleri, and so much more. That's frontlinegaming.org, or you can click on the links in all the social media goodies out there. Whew, we got all that out. Yeah. It's time to start talking about the Tyranids here. Alex, how about you tell us how long you've been playing the Tyranids for, and kind of like the evolution of the Codex leading up until now?
Well, if I've been playing the game as a total for like 21-ish, 22-ish years, I've been playing Tyranids for at least 18 of that. It's definitely been interesting to see it go through all these different iterations of we want you to play hordes. No, actually, we want you to play big monsters, and back and forth. The 8th edition codex was pretty wild. I remember when it first came out, we didn't really know what was going on. The mechanics of 8th edition hadn't been figured out yet. And then we figured out that if you can do anything twice, it's really good. So an army can move twice and shoot twice and fight twice. Very strong. So that's probably what carried the Tyranid Codex for a very long time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Demeki, being a player that doesn't play Tyranids, but you fought against them multiple times, what do you think about the army? Because it's always interesting hearing what other people think about Tyranids compared to what Tyranids players actually think about Tyranids.
I think the funniest thing to me was when we started back in 8th, and like I was playing Tau, and Tau was the shooty army, and then playing against your Nids with Hive Guard and all that, and I'm like, wait, I thought I was the shooty army. Like y'all have way more shots than even I do, and they're better. They're like hitting on 3s. I'm like, what? What? Nonsense.
Yeah, not the case anymore, though, right?
No, not the case anymore.
Yeah.
Tao's day has come.
Alex, where do you actually put Tyranids as of right now? Moving on with this conversation here.
I mean, are we talking pure Tyranids, or do we want to like sub that down into?
Are we talking about like the super faction and everything?
Yeah, I would still put forces like right near the top. Tau is bad for them. SMS is not good. The whole issue with Tyranids for being a competitive faction right now is like they hit crazy hard. You've got good speed, and they play the mission really well. But they still have that one big flaw of like they just can't, please don't touch me. I'm not tough. I can't take a punch. And Tau with SMS goes, well, you can't hide from us, so too bad.
Yeah, I feel that I feel that like spiritually in my heart. But yeah, so besides facing up against Tau, where do you think, I guess, like the super faction of Tyranid sits with Force of the Hive Mind, Pure Tyranids, and even Crusher Stampede?
Oh, it's in a super strong state right now. I'm sure, like, Crusher Stampede is going to take a little bit of a hit from the missions, I think. There's more missions with more objectives, which is not great for them. There's a couple more things where you really need, like, actions. Like, there's more things that need to do actions, and Crusher Stampede doesn't like that. But Forces Hive Mind plays the mission incredibly well. My list basically didn't change at all. I need to find 30 points for Hive Guard, and away you go. And a lot of other armies took a hit, too. Like, Custodies is one of the strongest, and they are not a huge fan of the new missions. Again, like, you lose one guy to your unit, you no longer hold engage. Drukari took, like, a general nerf, and that was obviously another one of the big top dogs. So overall, I think they're still in a fantastic position.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of armies got hit on the chapter approved. It's kind of nuts seeing things get point hikes when like the general consensus was like, why?
I mean, that's what I said as soon as I saw the Death Guard. Like, I was like, why? Like, what?
It's that Simpsons meme, like, stop, he's already dead.
Yeah, like, Jesus.
Yeah. How did the chapter approved like hit your armies, Demeki? And then even the balance slate, because you can't even run Thick City as much as you used to anymore.
Yeah, so you can't run Thick City, or Thick City's just not as good. Like Drukari got hit with that. Death Guard got hit with unnecessary points, I think. Just because they raised the points on the DSTs, which the DSTs are, a very strong unit, but like it didn't make sense to hit them with a point increase because the army was it wasn't a subpar army. Like, I would say their codex is probably one of the most balanced codexes. But, and that's my hot take, but like, I don't feel like Death Guard needed to be hit with a points increase of any kind. Like, there was nothing throughout the year that said Death Guard needs a points increase, right? Like, to me. What else happened? Dark Angels kind of just stayed the same, and I think that was essentially it.
Yeah. Now on the Tyranid side for chapter approved, we got hit with Hive Guard going up in points. Understandable. Yep, definitely deserved. Yep. We get that. I don't even think Tyranid players like running Hive Guard anymore. Like, Well, I mean, like, not in the sense of we bring them because we have to, because it's like one of the best units, but it's not because, you know, like we kind of feel bad sometimes when we bring it, because there's a lot of armies that just can't interact with them, which feels bad. I understand that. Demacron also got hit as well, and then for some reason Raveners, they can take Death Spitters and Rending Claws without any points increase. Don't know why they did that, but, you know, that's pretty cool. Alex, what do you think about the points changes for Tyranids?
Honestly, 5 points for Hive Guard. I almost feel like we got off a little lucky.
Mm.
Like, I saw it, I was like, oh, only 5. Okay. Honestly, it's probably the more measured approach that they could have taken. I was expecting like maybe 10, but it'll probably be enough to make it so that people aren't spamming 18 or some garbage, right?
Yeah.
So, okay,
Yeah.
fine. But I mean, 6 is still like an auto include. I have a meme in my phone somewhere that I made of like, it's like Atlas carrying the world on his back, and that's just guard carrying the Tyranid codex.
Yeah, 100%. It's just so good, just ignoring line of sight.
They did it for so long. There's other things that are better now. Like, I actually think the Devil Gaunts are better than the Hive Guard, but like, it's been a long road of just like Hive Guard carrying the codex. On the Demon Karen, I think it's probably overkill, except Crusher Stampede. It's interesting that you bring up like the Deathstrap Terminators. GW has a strange thing where they will like nerf something because it's in every list, but that they need to look at the greater picture of like, they're not in every list because they're broken and need to be nerfed. They're in every list because it's all that faction has left.
Yep, that is 100% true.
Dude,
They did that with the
Grey Knights right now. Yes.
They did that with demons as well. The Slaneshi Greater.
Yeah, Bellator and
even before that.
the Keeper Secrets.
Yeah, the Keeper Secrets. They nerfed her, and demon players weren't taking her because she was busted. It was just like the only like big monster that was any good left.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same reason why everybody in Death Guard takes PBCs too. I mean, because the indirect fire, but they lowered the PBC and raised the DSP. Like what?
You know, they're just throwing darts at a board and just seeing what happens right now.
Oh man,
it didn't make any sense. Yeah.
The other funny thing is, since you were talking about memes, I saw one the other day, and it was like a Tyranid player going saying, "Hey, I'm going to go build my list," and he's got like 8 books in his hand just so he can make his one list.
Yeah.
It's actually. It's kind of crazy that like an 8th edition army requires that many books as of right now. Like, I think it needs the most amount of books out of any army that's out, including AdMech, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. I guess we can go on a tangent and kind of just talk about that. Alex, what do you think about all these books that you need for Tyranids, and how do you think that affects people that are trying to get into the game as a new player?
It definitely increases barrier of entry, like monetarily speaking, and just understanding. Like when people start to write up a list, and they're like, "How are people even doing this?" Like they're not even aware that the reason that their lists don't look like anyone else's is because they're missing like 2 of the 5 resources that they need. I guess I kind of got used to this because if you started. Even just like when 8 started, you started to see like the slow creep of books. You're like, oh, well, now I need Vigilus, and I'm taking allies, so I need a second book. Like if you were playing an Imperium army, you might have just 4 like hard codexes to play your army, because it was like you'd have Marines and Imperial Guard and Knights, and then like, you know, within the Imperial Guard, you could also sub in like an Inquisitor or something. And that was all legal as a single soup. So you had 4 of those books, and then you had Vigilus, and then you had something else. Like you had a library every time you hit the table. But now, for people just starting, like, yeah, good luck, guys. Battlescribe to the rescue.
Battlescribe and Waha to the rescue. Am I right, guys? All hail to the lords and saviors of 40k. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous because what you need the core book. If you want to soup with Genestealers, you need the new Genestealer book. Even though, like, as a new player, souping should not even be in your repertoire of like brain.
It shouldn't be in the
mentality.
vocabulary.
Yeah. And then you have like the new
Forge
Leviathan book. You have Forge World. You have also a White Dwarf as well for Leviathan. Like, it is ridiculous. And then all the chapter proof stuff. It's kind of crazy. Moving on from there, though, we talked about the chapter approved. Now, you're saying that for Forces of the Hive Mind, totally fine with it, just because you're bringing so many bodies anyways at that point. You have your, neophyte hybrids, you have your acolytes, you have pure strain Genestealers that can even do actions. All these garbage units, quote unquote, doing these actions and being these action monkeys for these chapter approved rules. Where do you stand on Tyranids tackling these, and like how are you building your list for these missions, and what do you think about like Crusher Stampede in these new missions, because that's like a huge favorite as of right now for Tyranid players?
Well, the soup lists, I mean, I guess, okay, it's better to start even before you talk about specifically Tyranids to talk about just every army.
Mm-hmm.
Every army that you build, you should try and build like 2 easy secondaries into it, whether that's like to the last, or if you're playing Custodes, you've usually got a pretty easy like Stranglehold, because like your whole army is just durable and designed to like crash onto objectives and stuff. So usually it's like, how can you build an army to do objectives while giving up the least amount of like the garbage? Like, I gotta build the stuff to do the actions or do the secondaries. How can I do that without having to like set 200 points aside that just suck? But that's my play the mission part of my list. And with the GSC, like, there's so many things that are just so cheap and get to do all of them. Like, if I'm taking R&D now, and engage on all fronts, I can do that really easily with acolytes, and I get to do both. They can hold a quarter and do retrieve Octarius data, and it's 45 points. So what I'm feeling like I'm sacrificing to play the mission is like, it's almost nothing. Like two 5-mans, 90 points, no problem. And if you don't get to kill them, they still slap in combat. Like, that 5-man will come back onto your objective and clear something out. So they get to do the secondaries just so easily without all this extra effort.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then like you can even upgrade one of them for what's it called, like lying in wait, for if you ever get into a pickle where it's like, oh yeah, they might just screen me out, but they're on such small bases, it's hard anyways to screen out stuff. It's like just a little bit bigger than a Lictor, right? Rest in peace.
Gone forever.
Yeah. Went into one of the best units inside of an army to just being absolute trash yet again. It's pretty sad. So, but that's Forces of the Hive Mind. But like, how would you deal with the new CA with Crusher Stampede?
I mean, I think Crusher Stampede is probably still very good at playing the primary. That's what I learned. For people that don't know, so I am a Tyranid diehard, but I am very much a horde player. Like in fantasy, I played Skaven. I just love like huge armies. So Crusher Stampede came out, and I know a lot of people in like all the way back to 4th edition were like, yes, Nidzilla, I want to play all the big monsters. And it didn't really appeal to me. So I didn't put any effort into it. I didn't build any Crusher Stampede lists. I didn't practice against it. I also thought, because it was such a low model count, I'm like, it's kind of some gatekeeper. Like, it's really strong, but it'll cap out at 5-1. So I got to play Crusher Stampede for the very first time in my round of 8 at LVO. And damn, that was a surprise. That army is crazy strong.
Yeah.
It plays the primary mission so much harder than I expected. Because, like, a lot of it isn't objective secured, but one of those monsters is every turn, and they're just putting 12 models onto every objective, like, repeatedly. So unless you have objective secured yourself, or you have, like, a weirdly large squad size, they just keep stealing objectives away from you, and it was way harder than I expected. Their secondary game might suffer, but they can still play the primaries really strong. And for them, I mean, there's always still, like, grind or assassination, or it's even like Stranglehold. Again, just jamming a bunch of bodies on and saying, you don't want to kill me, but I'm going to force you to kill me, because otherwise I'm just going to generate 3 points every turn.
Oh yeah. And like, what's funny is that Crusher Stampede, like when I was looking at the new secondaries, like Psychic Interrogation, I was like, oh yeah, that's a great secondary now for Tyranids. It's pretty easy to do. And then in Crush Stampede, I realized that you kill characters so easily that you're just not going to get your max points on it because it's just way too easy to kill the characters with Crush Stampede. Demeki, I don't think that you have yet to face Crush Stampede
No,
yet,
and
have
thank
you?
God. No, and thank God.
Oh, he has new Tau book now. He doesn't care anymore.
Oh, yeah. Like, you can
So
face
I'm-
off against it.
The Crusher Stampede wasn't around yet, right? For SoCal, that was back in October.
Yeah, it was.
So
I don't
so
think
I
so.
wouldn't have even been able to play against it back then.
Mhm.
I didn't go to LVO because my daughter was born literally that week. So yeah, no, I have not played against Crusher Stampede, but I've heard the horrors of Crusher Stampede.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I believe Bricky tweeted as soon as he got done with LVO. I believe it was F Crusher Stampede.
It's definitely brutal.
All that indirect fire, man.
Yeah, indirect fire, just big monsters in your face, all that stuff. Alex, I kind of want to just keep prodding you here because it's so crazy to me that you never fought against Crusher Stampede leading up to LVO, and then going into LVO, you had to face it. I think like in the semifinals, right?
Round of
Going
8.
to- yeah. So you had to face off against that. Like, what was your game plan going into that, and like, how do you feel about it now that you fought against it?
It's a lot stronger than I thought, and I already thought it was quite strong. It was definitely like his build was really good for shoring up the weaknesses that I assumed Crusher Stampede would have. Like, oh, you've only got essentially 6 models that are actively out on the board. They're going to have a limited number of things that they can do. But every model he took was, like the Harpy and the Cyterial. They were very good at dealing that like 4 to 5 wounds to like clear something off of an objective and then charge something else. So they kind of were able to kill 2 things a turn, especially against my army, because my army was just like, yeah, everything is 10 models plus, so the Harpies are hitting on 3s and stuff. My thought had been like, get rid of the Hive Guard so they can't play the primary game, because the Hive Guard are like, oh, you have 2 models left on that objective behind a wall? That's fine. I'll just shoot 2 Hive Guard at them and clear them off. So it was like, get rid of the Hive Guard, try and get rid of some of the warriors because they were doing banners, and then just, slowly chunk down a couple monsters at a time and just spread out really thin so that he can't deal with 3 Genestealers over here and 5 Acolytes over here. And it kind of
Yeah, and it's interesting, like, because Hive Guard do so poorly, or like they don't do that well into something that has -1 damage because of their D3 damage, right? So how was that affecting like how you played the mission? It's so strange that we're talking about like 2 different Tyranid lists fighting against each other and trying to figuring out like how to face off against another Tyranid army. But yeah, how are you dealing with the -1 damage?
Yeah, the Hive Guard just ignored the monsters. I don't think I ever shot them at the monsters even once. Although I guess they got into combat very shortly. It's pretty hard to stay away from a 32 movement Hive Tyrant. So my thought was, what's actually better at killing the monsters than the Hive Guard is the Devourer Gaunts.
The Devil Gaunts, yeah, boy.
Yeah, and you actually take the Maleceptor buff and put it onto the Devourer Gaunts as well, because then you get the AP on them. Like, you don't get the damage reroll, obviously. But you're only winning on 5s and 6s anyway, so 50% of your output just increasing in AP was great. So turn 1, I killed his Demakaran from across the board with the Devourer Gaunts. I just redeployed right in front of the Demakaran, advanced forward, and just scooped it on turn 1. And then they got tagged by all the monsters and never shot again. That's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It did its job, right? It's surprising because a lot of people say, "Oh man, Hive Guard are the reason why Tyranids are so strong," and like I definitely agree with you. Where it's not the Hive Guard really. Like Hive Guard can definitely be a menace, but it's really the Devil Gaunts that are the backbone of Tyranid lists, especially right now. It's like what 186 points for like 25 or 26 of them, something like that. So you still get to the last with your Hive Guard units, and then like. And then they just have such a huge volley of fire anything that has a 3-up save is just literally dead. It is so strong. Yeah. So is that what you usually say to people? Is that it's not the Hive Guard does its job, but like the Devil Gaunts are really the unit that is the actual backbone of the army?
Yeah, because it's the thing that does more than just damage. Like,
Mhm.
the Hive Guard are just there as damage. And I guess I use them as a primary tool.
Mhm.
I try and put them in a position where they can hit multiple primary objectives so that you have to put something substantial onto an objective. Otherwise, I will just remove it with the Hive Guard. But yeah, I mean, for raw damage output, it's all about the Devourer Gaunts. I think it was me and John, like Lennon, talking about it, and he says, "Yeah, I just take however many wounds they have and just times it by 6." Oh, you have good saves? That's great. You have 3 wounds? Here's 18 saves. No
Yeah.
worries.
Yeah, definitely. Now, being a and enjoying the forces of the hive mind build more. How about you tell us the tactics that you're taking with Genestealer cults and why you're skewing more heavily into Genestealer cults than you are with regular Tyranids?
You mean in the specific LVO list?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the thought process behind that is that the Genestealer cult stuff just didn't take any CP to fund anymore. Like, for a long time, like, okay, so the 8th edition Genestealer cult book was fantastic, and it was a really strong, but it was definitely a codex. It was the last codex of 8th, so it was really fine-tuned to work in 8th. And specifically, we're taking 3 battalions, we're having like 21 CP a game because you would take the Warlord trait to have an extra D3. And so, yeah, all their stratagems were very expensive, but that's okay because we had like just a bucket load of CP. And then we turned to 9th and we're being punished for having extra detachments. And as Genestealer Cult, you want extra detachments. So suddenly, with the new 9th book, it goes, hey, all this stuff, we just let you take upgrades instead of spending CP. You want to deep strike better? Okay, well, instead of spending 3 CP for perfect ambush, we're just going to give you um, whatever the new upgrade is called
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
can't remember right now. But yeah, pay 15 points instead of 3
Mhm.
CP. Yeah, like trap sprung, bam, nailed it.
Oh,
Uh,
that's the one where what is Trap Sprung the one where you come out of deep strike and have like a 3d6 charge? Is that the one? Is that it?
yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, 15 points instead of 3 CP.
Yeah.
So basically, I built this army that was just as good as at combat as what I had before, with like having Leviathan Genestealers that could use Relentless Flurry and having a Swarm Lord. And I took an army that could do all of the same things, hit just as hard, and needed like almost 0 CP to fund it anymore. So now you just get to supercharge the Hive Guard and the Devourer Gaunts like every turn rather than just every once in a while. Or you had like little niche CP abilities that, like, ooh, I don't know if I can really afford that, and you're like, yeah, I can afford that now. So you're a little bit more free with what you wanted to do. Um, and man, those new pure strains were just like
Oh,
such
they're
an answer
nasty. They're
to
so nasty.
yeah. When it
um,
first started, Gene Stealers were like such a nasty profile, and they've just been
mhm,
outclassed by like everything at this point.
yeah.
And then now new pure strains bring them right back into line. Where you look at that and you compare them like to an incubi, you're like, yeah, that's pretty much where we want them to be.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Demeki, I don't think that you've seen the pain of Genestealer cult pure strain Gene Stealers just yet. Um, uh, Alex, how about you tell him all the nasty stuff that you can do with with pure strain Gene Stealers, and then we'll see what his reaction is to it.
Oh, this is good live reaction. So the raw data sheet has changed for the better. We've gone from weapon skill 3 to weapon skill 2. So they don't need a Broodlord chilling around next to them or anything anymore. They are just 4 attacks instead of 3 going up to 4 if you have over 10. They are AP3 all the time, so the entire squad is equipped with Acid Maws now. And they have a 4+ invulnerable save all the time. So they are just that much more durable. And if you take them in Twisted Helix, then they get +1 to their move, +1 to their strength, so they're strength 5 all the time. And you get
Mini
maybe
transhuman.
transhuman. So
Yeah.
you can't be wounded on 2s anymore. Also, there's a spell to give you up to 5 attacks, and there's a spell that you auto wound if you roll a 6 to hit.
Yep.
Bro, that's busted.
Dude,
That's
that's
really
just-
good.
Listen, all
Very
right.
good.
The thing is, Demeki, that's just scratching the surface. There's so much more. Like,
yeah, but they're an elite unit, right? Or
They
they're not
are
troop
elite.
selection.
They are not troops, which is a big deal. That did catch me a couple times before. I'm like, oh, I don't hold that right now. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But they do get you can upgrade them so that they can get a pregame move as well. They can pregame move. I think it's 9 inches, or correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know off the top of my head.
It is a pregame move up to 9. So if you're Twisted Helix, you can go 9.
Yeah. So you go 9, and then you move again, advance again. And then you can also have another unit come out of Deep Strike and charge 3d6, and then you can have another unit where you don't have to cast a psychic power to give them +1 attacks. It just has it automatically as well. So lots of crazy stuff there.
I remember too when we were going over the Genestealer cult codex, like all their stratagems are cheap. Like most of them are just 1. They don't have too many. They're like 2.
Yeah, they're basically all 1. There's like a couple. The ones that are 2 are like wildly strong too.
Yeah,
like if you're spending 2, you feel good about it because it's like, oh, that squad just can't be shot anymore.
It's just like a pseudo bodyguard rule almost, right?
Right.
It's pretty good. The Genestealer Colt's book is like incredibly good. Alex, what do you think is the strongest parts of the Genestealer Colt's book, and is that something that you're thinking about like teching into, or have you already teched into it? Especially with like the new points changes with Hive Guard going up in points. Like what are the mainstays of the Genestealer Colt books that you would play with all the time?
Okay, so I gotta collect my thoughts here. This is a bit of a talk. So the Genestealer Cult book is excellent, and it's very well internally balanced. If we're talking about the best parts of Genestealer Cult, I honestly couldn't tell you. I think it's very well rounded. There's almost no units in that book left behind, except for Aberrants, who will, I guess, pay for their sins forever.
Rest in peace, dude. Like, those guys, man. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's partly my fault. Like,
yeah. Like...
So, as far as like what's the best in the book, hard to pick out, which is a good thing. That's fantastic. We want to be able to use every part of the book. Overall power level, I think, is really good. I don't see a time in the future where they're specifically going to have to nerf GSE. Whereas I can already see the bullseye zeroing in on broadsides. Like, that's great. Your army's very strong.
Yeah. I mean, that was like a mediocre unit in the last codex. Like, until the Psychic Awakening came out, and we got the prototype weapon. But yeah,
but even then.
Yeah, there's certain things that you can see in the meta that are like already getting zeroed out, and I don't really see that with GSC, which is cool. That means that they're probably going to be okay for a long time. You can definitely see that it was one of the codexes that was designed before they said, hey, no more sub-faction soup. The Genestealer cults are very specific, where like Twisted Helix only benefits your combat. Pauper Princes only benefits your combat. And then the other ones are the things that benefit your shooting, with 0 buffs to any of your combat. And it's very obvious that they designed like you should be taking Twisted Helix with Rusted Claw or Bladed Cog or something like that. And then we can't do that anymore. So that might hurt them a little bit of longevity. But I mean, the codex overall is still so fantastic. I really don't have any complaints about it. Originally, my thought for the beginning of the year was I was just bored of Tyranids. And not that I'm bored of Tyranids, it's just that the codex only has 2 remaining data sheets.
Yeah, true.
The rest of it is just gone. I'm bored of Hive Guard, and I didn't want to keep playing with them because they're just... I understand people's frustrations, and it's not making me a better player. So my initial thoughts was I thought I was getting the Tyranid codex in like August. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to play pure GSC. I'm going to have a ton of fun with this book. It's super deep. It's super interesting. It's not overpowered. I will have to work and flex my skills to do well with it until the Tyranid codex comes out. And they were like, just kidding. It comes out in a month and a half. And now I don't know what I'm doing.
You're just on standby still. You know?
Yeah.
We're
It's just going to happen sooner, you know?
Yeah. What would you say are the strongest units out of the GSC book? Yeah.
I mean, I would go with. Luckily, okay, so this is something that I think is really important for all of the books. If
Mhm.
your troop choices are good, you'll have longevity. Like, you look at 8th edition Marines, and like all their troop choices were either like mediocre or just bad, and that book dropped off in consistently so quickly. Acolytes are awesome. Neophytes are awesome. With those two things being good, well, Neophytes in pure GSC when you have access to Crossfire and Exposed. Those two units being like completely kick-ass is going to hold that book over for so long. And I think both of those units are probably two of the top units in the book. Those
Mhm.
Pure Strains and Kellermorph are probably the four best things in the book.
Oh yeah. Even the Goliath truck, right? The
Yeah, they're good
Goliath
too.
truck is just really good too. Um, now, what are your thoughts on what's it called? Adeline Jackals.
Okay, so they're interesting in the fact that they're not gonna like. You're not building an army around them. I
Yeah.
tried, and it was actually a lot of fun, but it's not particularly good. It was like 30 bikes with the quads, with the full package. You take them in Pauper Princess, so they hit better. You have a Primus, so they get real ones to hit and to wound. You take the Relic, so you have a 5+ invulnerable save on all the bikes. You take the Icon Ward, so you can resurrect them. You take a Biophagus, so they have a 5+ feel no pain, and you just resurrect quads all game.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun, but I was like, actually isn't really that great. This is kind of a meme.
Yeah.
Um, but as far as just like 2 packs of 4 or 2 packs of 5, I would put them in every single GSC army. I'd put them in my forces list, and I would continue to put them in my forces list probably forever. They're
Yeah.
so good. They're so annoying.
You could bring demolition charges with them. You know, they could just like pop something if they really, really have to, or at least attempt to pop it. And then also they're bikers, so like apparently like a lot of missions, they enjoy bikers now, like in a lot of secondaries, like engage on all fronts and stuff, which is
They can
nice.
perform actions. A
Yeah.
couple of the mission secondaries, it says infantry and bikes now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're one of those utility units. They're not like going and winning you the game, but they're just like this nice like zone your opponent out, tag stuff, and then you can fall back and still shoot. You can perform actions with them. Yeah, they're fantastic.
Definitely. All right. So this one will be pretty interesting here because we have a player that plays Tau. How do you feel against that matchup with the new Tau Codex and even Custodes? Custodes, I think, is a lot easier. Tau is like the harder one. So what are your thoughts on that matchup? Because those are the big boogeymans right now.
Yeah, I mean, Custodes is definitely like fairly even. I haven't played Custodes since they received their points buffs
Decrease? Yeah.
for whatever reason. Actually, I know exactly why that happened,
Yeah.
but that was just a conversation with one of the playtesters. But
Yeah.
the newly buffed Custodes, they're probably going to suffer with, because I was not prepared to have them suddenly just be wielding another 100 points. But I don't think the game changes much with GSC compared to what it was before. It's still a lot of like run to the corners, do your secondaries, and then try and hold them back off of theirs. The GSC combat still hits incredibly hard, and you definitely get to still play a game against them rather than just like running away. You will still get rid of some of their army. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a very like cat and mouse kind of game. But Tau, I don't know yet. It depends on what is going to show for like they're such a skew army inherently. Like they have no combat, they have no shooting. No psychic. It's just nothing but shooting. Their Overwatch mechanics are different now. They're a very like kind of binary army. Did you blow your opponent off the table, or did you get wrapped up right away? So whatever answers that they need to come to deal with what's being thrown at them. Like let's say everyone goes into one certain thing, and now they don't have the ability to deal with Crusher Stampede. And they go, okay, well, gotta fit in like, let's say 2 hammerheads. 2 hammerheads becomes the magic number to deal with that. Maybe that's enough to pull the broadsides out of the equation, where the broadsides don't just scoop your entire GSC army on turn 2. Like this is, that's not a good sign, I guess is what I'm saying. Like,
Right.
like praying that the meta like opens up possibilities for GSC into Tau is not a happy place to be.
Yeah, I feel that 100%. And like what's crazy is also that like when you are when you tech into something like fighting with custodes, then like you're not teching into fighting against Tau. And it's like this back and forth of like which one am I going to be teching for like any particular event, unless you know exactly like what the meta is going into that event and what players are going to go into it, right?
Mhm.
Because custodes, you know, you want to have a lot of like hard hitting stuff, but then against like Tau, you need like really hard resilience, right? So how are you thinking about like playing that playing that problem out?
I don't think my list would change much. So usually what I do if we're at this weird like crossroads in the meta, because we're not even talking about Eldar yet.
Mhm.
And Craft World
Oh
Eldar
my
is also
goodness,
gonna be a
yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
So I mean, although they might be a problem in a similar way that Tau is, where like you're looking at the stats on, they've revealed like Night Spinners and a lot of indirect and what they can do. Are you just going to get shot off the table? There is no durability in GSC. That's just not something that they have. I don't care how many trucks you bring. I don't care how many aberrants you bring. There's just enough firepower in the game that you're going to lose your models. So their durability comes from being off the board. Tau now presents the problem of we're going to make your deep strike charges nearly impossible because we've got a -2 stratagem. So I think it's going to be I'm going to build a general list. What I think is sort of the best right now. We're at this weird crossroad. We'll see where the meta goes, and I'll slowly start to tweak that list to fight the top contenders. Like if you look at the tournament, there was like a major in the UK this weekend, and Tau came first and second. But of the top 10, there were like 6 others of them were Custodes. I'm probably going to start teching for Custodes harder than Tau, even though the Tau ranked higher. Clearly, there's just more Custodes there. And I just hope that maybe the Custodes deal with my Tau problem for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like what I was saying to Matt too, though, is that like looking at all the RTTs and GTs that are starting to show up in Best Coast pairings. I haven't dug deep into any of these yet, but like looking at the top 8, yeah, you see a lot of Custodes and Tau. But overall, tournament wise, how much of those armies were there, right? Because we can't just say one army's OP if majority of the tournament was just Custodes and Tau, you know? We don't know how they're playing against all the other armies if they're just constantly playing against each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a good sign that other armies aren't getting into that winner's circle. But
Mhm.
as far as making like a judgment call, like if this happens all the time, I've seen lists where I look at what it's bringing and I look at what it does to my army and go, oh man, I don't really beat. I'm like, yeah, but no one's running it.
Mhm.
There's 760 people at LVO. I'm just gonna gamble on not running into that super hard matchup.
Right.
If there's only 2 of them and there's 55 custody players or whatever there was, I'm just going to ignore that too and focus on the 55 players that I'm inevitably going to run into if I'm wanting to win the event.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it's kind of it's kind of like someone saying, "Oh, you know, I don't have to worry about Night Lords," and then there's that one Night Lord player at LVO that actually plays.
Yeah.
Bricky.
Yeah. um thinking about it, you know what Custodes and Tau would kind of have a problem against? Necrons. Necron
Yeah.
Catons. Like it's surprisingly,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Only able to do damage in one phase. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too
One of
bad.
the ones we were talking about for Thousand Suns, or sorry, I spoiled it. For Tau specifically is Thousand Suns.
Mhm.
That is an army, duplicity specifically, because they can just start on the backboard and then they go, okay, turn 1. Here's 10 Terminators. They're -1 to hit. They're -1 damage. There's 4 characters, or there's like a couple characters sitting behind them. And here's like Gate of Infinity, or not Gate of Infinity, Infernal Gateway. We're just going to drop a nuke into your lines. You have 0 psychic defense. I'll just start scooping the army up, and then next turn you have 1 unit that you can deal with, and your SMS don't even affect my armor profile because all is dust. Like they have some weird potential hard matchups. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case. I don't know if 9 railguns off of the broadsides just goes, actually, we don't care about that. But
Here's your mortal wounds.
yeah, it's interesting to see that like there are armies in the mix that could just kind of give a headache to these top contenders.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. Seeing if one day, we'll see Necrons in the top. Just watch. It's gonna happen. It'll happen. Maybe.
I'm hoping maybe they'll get a Necron 2.0 codex instead of just like Space Marines always getting the 2.0 codex.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't received an Army of Renown yet.
That's true.
Ah.
They could get something.
Yeah.
Because some of those armies of renown have been like the problem child. Like the Cult of Strife stuff for Dark Eldar or Drakari. That was like one of the biggest problems. Like, hey, you want to see what a 70-point character can do?
I just thought it was funny when the Drakari book dropped. I was like, oh, I have to buy another book already to get these nice stratagems and all these other things from Cult of Strife.
Yeah. So moving on with this conversation, how do you feel about the future of the Tyranids army, especially now that it's been announced that the new Tyranids Codex is coming up right after Eldar?
Oh, I'm super excited about it. I am so done with that 8th edition book.
Dude, same. I'm so sick of dude. I'm so sick of seeing like Hive Guard all the time and like having to use them all the time. It's just like it gets so repetitive after a while, and like you keep falling to the same archetype of like, here's my Hive. Yeah, go ahead.
Hive Guard Demas. It's like Hive Guard Demas, and then what's the Lord of War, the giant flying dragon?
Well, those are like memes. Those are memes though, but like
but the Demon Carriers are really good. They still are really good, but
they got a points hike. They're pretty. they're like 280 points per model now. It's pretty expensive. But like every time that I built a Tyranids army, it always came up like, I want to take this. I want to take this. All right. I still need to put in Hive Guard. Okay, let's see. What can I take out for Hive Guard? And then just kind of becomes like the same archetype over and over again because it's just, like you were saying, it's just the same data sheets.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those things where the joke was like every Tyranid army, you just start building 1,700 points.
Yeah.
Because the 300 is just the Hive Guard.
Yeah.
You even think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many cool data sheets, a whole bunch of bad data sheets, but there's so many cool models in there and things that look like they would be fun to put on the tabletop. And then they've just been, time has taken its toll. Where you look at the monsters and they don't make any sense anymore. That they degrade really poorly, or they're just like, yeah, it's a combat monster. Cool. Why did you give it 3 attacks and weapon skill 4?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And no sweep attacks.
Yeah, right. But like it's also really interesting because of Stampede, we're seeing like these models that we've never seen before or like in a while coming back onto the table. Like Harpies are incredibly good inside of a Stampede list. Only 155 points.
Garbage outside of them.
Yeah, and just complete garbage. But you know what? That's where Tyranids thrive. Like the more garbage that you can have where people don't want to shoot at it, the more you excel. It's all about bringing the best trash that you could possibly bring. And Hive Guard. But yeah, you get to see the Harpies on the field now. Harspexes are actually on the table now, which is like pretty nuts to me. I love the Harspex. It's like one of my favorite models. It's just that
it's so cool.
Dude, it was so hard to get like my hands on it because they come in the same pack as Exocrines. So like,
which were popular for so long.
Yeah. So they're always sold out, and now they're sold out again. And I'm like, oh, come on, give me the horror specs, just one. But yeah, so like, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen with the new codex? Like, what are the things that you want to happen, and what are some things that you feel like are going to happen besides like Swarmlord losing Hive Commander?
Yeah, I think the most obvious one is that we're going to lose all of the double activations. No more shoot twice, no more move twice, fight twice. Yeah. All that kind of stuff. Completely expected. They've just phased it out. Because it's like impossible to balance. If you can do something twice, then things go from twice as good to 4 times as good. If you're like, this buff makes you twice as good, but now you can shoot twice, like it just multiplies way out of hand. I hope they leave Overrun. Overrun is one of my favorite stratagems.
I love Overrun, yes.
And it's not that powerful anymore. Like it used to be that you could charge, kill, overrun, fight again. It just like you could do like the wireless stuff, but now it's just like an escape button or like a move block button, and that's fine. That's not overpowered. I'm hoping there's still lots of movement shenanigans. I hope there's like I do like the double move stratagem where you like can't shoot, can't charge, and you hurt yourself. Like that's still very balanced, and it's cool to just like explode out with some trash Hormigaunt unit and just move block. I like those kind of stratagems. I hope they're, as much as leadership doesn't seem to do much in 9th, I would love for some like terrifying like leadership modifiers, because they're supposed to
that
be
actually
scary.
Matter, right? Yeah.
Guys are getting hit by Devour Gaunts, and they show the like the text for them is like they're literally just being eaten from the inside out, and guys are like going insane because they're in so much pain.
Yeah.
And then like no leadership modifiers at all.
No, that would be sick. I mean, like, there's so much, like, even in the new Stampede Army of Renown, there's like there's a stratagem where you can subtract 4 leadership from a unit, which is crazy. Like, but then it just ends up being nothing, right? Because morale is just kind of, I lost.
Yeah, it only affects hordes, really.
Yeah,
and there's just not a whole lot of hordes in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like you do -4 morale to a Marine squad, and well, they don't care. They just lose like 2 guys, maybe.
Yeah. But then you go up to a horde, you use breaking through, and then that strat, and then it's like, oh, you're losing a lot more off of something that has no right to be there. Which is
stuff like that. It's really cool.
Yeah. Demeki, what would you like to see out of Tyranids? I know that you don't play them, but like, what are some things that you want to be taken away from Tyranids? And like, what's some stuff that you don't want to see anymore?
I mean, some of the stuff they've already started to fix. The exploding 5s, I hated that.
Oh,
I hated
on
it
the
so much.
Exocrine and stuff.
Yeah. And the Hive Guard, because the Hive Guard used to be able to do it too, right? Exploding 6s or 5s or whatever.
They would get exploding 6s, yeah.
Yeah, they've already kind of fixed some of that stuff. What I would like to see is some of the cooler models hit the table, like the giant, like tentacle hentai looking monster. You know what I'm talking about?
The Toxicrenes.
Yeah, I like to see that hit the table. That'd be cool. Maybe old One Eye, some stuff like that. Like that would be exciting. Anytime I'd like to go to the table and see something that's not normally there, especially for like all these armies, is exciting to me. Be like, what is that? I've never seen that. What's that do? Tell me what this does.
Listen, all right. You know, old One Eye right now, it's pretty bad, but you can make him kind of hit like a monster. You know, you can give him like exploding 6s. He still has like modifiable attacks and stuff. Like you can get him up to like 20 attacks, like with like strength 12 or something, AP 3 damage flat. It's pretty nuts. There's some cool stuff you could do there. Old One Eye. Yeah.
Well, so my question for you two, since y'all both play the army, what model would y'all like to see have a major glow up in the next book?
Ooh, you want to take this one?
I mean, I guess we can talk about this because it's not like unofficial leaks. Like we've seen some of the data sheets already.
Yeah.
Like there's been the pictures of people buying a box, and then at the back of the instruction manual, it shows the stats. And I think one of the coolest ones is that they split the profiles between the Flying Hive Tyrants and the Walking Hive Tyrants.
Oh, yeah. One has a 2-up save, one has a 3-up save. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and one is T8.
Yeah.
So I like that because it was always like, it's like, why would you ever take a Walking Hive Tyrant? 30 points for a guy that goes 16 over walls now? Yeah, every day. So it's cool that they're giving some value to, like, I don't know, I guess the child that was left behind.
Well, I mean, like, Flying Hive Tyrants are still paying the price for, like, you know, the Flying Circus back in the day, right? So it's like, I guess I get it. Yeah.
If I'm talking really niche, I want Tyrant Guard to be good.
Dude, I forgot they even existed.
Right? I just like these weird, bulky. I think the lore is that they're supposed to be harvested from like orc DNA.
I think
so. They're like really tough and durable, and I just like the look of them. They're just this big shield wall. and they've just been absolute garbage to this. Right from the get go. They weren't one of those ones where they came out and then they've been like just kind of outdone by time. They right out of the gate, I was like, why wouldn't I just buy another Hive Tyrant? This is weird.
Dude, can you imagine if because Tyrant Guard, they kind of have like they have a Savior Protocols ability as of right now, right? Like it's they can take damage for a Hive Tyrant. You know, everyone's getting bodyguard rules. Just give them bodyguard. Boom. Is that
bodyguard on Hive Tyrant, man? That's scary.
That's
especially now that
horrifying.
I've seen that Venom cannons are flat 4.
Oh yeah, dude. But you know what? How about you tell everybody, like, what are all the leaks that you saw so far of Tyranids?
Guys, I've seen half the book. I'm not going into that. But the ones that everyone has seen, I mean, we're looking at like far more updated profiles, like things that just kind of match everything else, like the Exocrine T8 2+. The gun is strength 8, flat 3. So like it's really showing that this is kind of the damage you need to kind of perform with the rest of the meta out there. It having 15 wounds is wild. I think it's kind of cool that they're giving them more than just your standard battle tank.
Whoa! Wait, Exocrines are getting 15 wounds?
You didn't see that one, huh?
Well, I didn't. Oh my goodness, that is insane.
Yeah. The weapon skill 3 naturally now. Or sorry, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, strength 8, -4, flat 3, and it's 6 plus D3 shots. So I assume it will not be if you are stationary, you get to shoot twice.
Yeah.
So it makes the Exocrine a lot more viable as like a general thing rather than having to feed it a CP every turn. Basically, they just fix the mechanics of it.
Yeah. As for me, I would love to see the Tyranifex more. The Tyranifex is pretty cool. I would like to see like a rupture cannon on it, like actually be usable, because that's kind of a cool ability.
Yeah.
Also, I want to see some love for the funny worm boys, you know, like the Molochs and the Trigons. I would love to see them used more. A lot of the big bugs I really like. And then maybe the Turvagon, because the Turvagon's kind of just a meme right now. It's not very good, and I would like to see it like get a little bit better, and make me want to actually buy one and not just be like, this is going to be a paperweight most of the time. And it just restricts me from taking Hive Guard again.
Well, sorry, go for it.
And then I would just be like, Hive Guard, change it so then it's not like ignoring LOS anymore, and just like do something else with them. That's what I would like to see.
I mean, I'm like 90% sure that Hive Guard are just going to be bad. They're going to be treated like Gino was like, no, they're done.
Yeah.
Bad forever now.
Yeah. I would be happy with that, I guess. Like, I'm okay with that.
As long as the rest of the codex is good.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
They're not particularly fun to play or play against, so.
Carnifexes.
Oh, yeah. Such an iconic unit that was outclassed by like everything else.
Yeah, the Dreadnought equivalent that's not really an equivalent at all. Yeah, I would love to see that. All right, so we're going to hit the final topic here. Alex, how about you tell us, what's the best way to beat the bugs? There's so many people out there that are saying that Tyranids are just way too strong. They don't need any more updates, especially since like the Leviathan and Stampede rules dropped. A lot of people are becoming kind of frustrated going up against Tyranids. What are some tips that you can give people in order to beat Forces of the Hive Mind, Tyranids, and Stampede?
Well, I'll start with the forces list because that's what I know the most.
Mm-hmm.
And it is definitely a tough army to play against. It's a very hard army to play. It's a very high skill floor army, but it definitely does take a good amount of effort to play back against. The number one thing you can do is probably really play a game where you deny the secondaries. I know it can be challenging, but specifically trying to stop Rod is a big deal. Usually, forces lists do not have a good third secondary. Usually it's like 2 are good and 1 is kind of a gamble. So if you can take one of those good secondaries and make it not pan out, that's usually fantastic. If you're talking about sort of dealing with the rest of it, if you can start to whittle away at the horde or the little guys going off to hold objectives, you just kind of deal with those outlying units. That's probably your best bet. Everyone kind of zeroes in on the guard, and sometimes you just got to take your lumps from the hive guard, and you won't necessarily get to them. But if you can put all your firepower into those peripheral units, so that the Tyranid player can't play the primary game, can't move block as well, a lot of the units that are dealing the damage, they're really dealing damage because they've been handed out a bunch of buffs. So if you can even just take a unit from 10 down to 5, those buffs feel a lot worse because the unit just doesn't utilize those buffs as well.
Okay. As for Stampede, play Tau. Probably that's gonna be your best answer.
Play Tau, Custodians with a million D3 plus 3.
Yeah, Virtus Praetors or whatever they're called.
Salvo launchers, yeah.
Yeah, you can run those. Tau is just gonna be a really good answer against it. Also just nuking Swarmlord. If you can get a line of sight on Swarmlord against Stampede, like the game is over. There's like almost nothing that a Stampede.
Yeah, you gotta hamper that mobility.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Because you don't take Swarmlord anymore, right? With your Forces of the Highbind build because of Pure Strains?
As of the Genestealer codex, I dropped Swarmlord. Right up until GSC codex, I was still running him. But then, they gave us the essentially a double move with the Pure Strains, with the pregame move. And then also the stratagem for flat 6 advance. You don't have to roll it, you just get a 6. So if you have a Pure Strain squad in a truck, they exit that truck 18 inches.
Oh, yeah, because then they move 3, and then they... that's pretty funny.
Yeah, 3, and then 9 if you have Helix, and 6 the auto advance. You just exit the vehicle at 18.
Yeah,
to do your damage.
Yeah.
Which, if you're taking your regular Steelers, they move... If you're not, you're going to be Leviathan, so you move like 11 or 12. So it's a difference of... that's with the advance, So it's a difference of like 22 inches or 18 inches.
Yeah.
And you don't have to pay 240 points for Swarmlord. You just have to pay 10 points for an upgrade.
Man, I'll tell you, dude. Swarmlord, I feel like should be hitting harder, but every time that I bring Swarmlord, man, like he just like his weapons just plink off anything. Like it just does not do much.
Well, have you seen Swarmlord's new profile?
No.
Okay. So Swarmlord is also T8.
Okay.
2+, 4+.
All right.
Because they're getting rid of the 3+, because the 3++
goodness.
just don't exist anymore. He has 9 attacks, and he is strength 9, AP -4, but he has 9 attacks.
Wait, hold on. I think you cut out a little bit. What'd you say?
9 attacks.
No, before that.
Strength 9, AP
strength
what?
9, AP -4, flat 3.
Okay. All right. I can dig it. That 2-up is going to be really nice.
And T8.
Yeah.
It's going to make him have like strength 4 fire, just not do anything anymore.
Demeki, before we end off here, how about you tell us what you think you would do against Tyranids, being a Tau player?
Being a Tau player, I'm going to execute. I think Tau right now, smart missile system is just so good. So you're going to have to dig through the codex and find everything that could take a smart missile system, all that indirect fire. So your broadsides, your big suits can take them, your hammerheads can take them, even your troop choices can have one. So like smart missile systems are like the way to go. They were good in 8th, but they're way, with the new codex and everything going on in 9th, they're way better in 9th. Also anything that can generate mortal wounds for Tau. So you got your broadsides again with their new rail
Weird
rifles.
how we keep going back to that unit.
Yeah. It's crazy, huh, guys?
They're really good because they're kind of cheap. I really think they undercosted that unit. And probably the Riptide, because I believe the Riptide can generate mortal wounds with its giant rail type gun. The Hammerhead gunship, I feel like, is just a meme. Everybody saw the rail gun and was just like, oh, it ignores invuls, but like I think it's still T6, right? It's T6 and what? T7 and 14 wins.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, it's good. I think that it would probably play better in Borkin Sup than Tau Sup. Just because it will give it a little bit more survivability. Um, but yeah, like anything that can generate mortal wounds for Tau and also the SMS. Like
Just
the SMS
completely
is
shred.
just so good.
It shreds so much. It
Yeah.
shreds so much. And then the flamers. Flamers do well.
Yeah, dude, the Tau flamers are insane.
Oh, yeah.
The Tau
crazy.
flamers and the air was it
bursting.
air burst fragmentation. Yeah, those things so good. I mean, they were good in 8th, but they again got even better with 9th.
Yeah. Hey, okay, all right. Hey, Demeki, okay?
Well,
this
I'm
is a
sorry.
Tyranids
Sorry. I know we're talking about
conversation,
kids,
okay? All right?
But I've yet to play my Tau since the codex came out, so I'm like gushing right now, you know?
Yeah.
I think a good way to describe the railgun thing, though, talking about how, like on the Hammerhead, is that it still suffers from that I only have one shot.
Yep.
There's
Yeah.
still that, like, yes, you can start to manipulate the ballistic skill and stuff. What if your 150 point tank just misses or just fails to wound with its one shot? You feel
Yep.
really bad.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that's why I would take the smart missile systems with them instead of like the burst cannons or any of their other secondary weapons. It's like, why spring the smart missile system? So then at least they have 8 more shots
Mhm.
with indirect fire. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so that's gonna be this episode talking about Tau. No, I'm kidding. This is gonna be that's gonna be it for this episode talking about the Tyranids. Alex, how about you tell us where everyone can find you? Plug yourself up all over the internet.
I mean, 95% of you finding me is definitely okay.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, you're cutting out. Can you do it one more time?
Shoot, yeah, for sure. It's Art of War 40K.
Okay.
The coaching service that we have with Nick Nonavati and Richard Siegler. There's the Discord. Come join us there, and it's beyond the coaching. It's just a really good, healthy community. You can also find me lurking around in the Best in Tabletop network, the recently rebranded Best in Faction, and that's Colin Sherman and Mitch Pelham. That's Pacific Northwest stuff, and that's also just another really healthy community, and they're producing content all the time now. And then Play on Tabletop. I will be playing on that again fairly soon, and that's a Vancouver-based, slickest battle reports you can find.
Heck yeah, dude. What do you think about bringing there to Play on Tabletop this time?
I'm hoping pure GSC. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But we'll see what happens, because I'm guessing it'll probably be on again in some time in the summer. So we might have Tyranids by then, and then it might be pure Tyranids.
Demeki, how about you plug yourself up? Where can people find you?
Yeah, everybody can find me at twitch.tv/dicecheck and twitch.tv/Demeki. And also on the YouTubes at Dicecheck's channel. And that's it.
Yeah, boy. And as for myself, you can find me at your local Walmart, probably Target, somewhere around there. You can also find me on the internet, twitch.tv/PewDiePie. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Chapter Tactics. We'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye, everybody. Bye-bye.
We love you. Bye-bye.